Commissioners, come to order. We will go ahead and talk about the fire board minutes. It's an open session and nobody wants to discuss with us.
They must still be having recruitment problems,
Yes.
just based on their conversation here.
Yeah, trying to get people to come join a volunteer service.
They don't want to do sign-on bonuses for new.
And you increase the pay of the already working individuals. But I know that's a very worldwide problem. We're trying to get people to come and join. Whether it be volunteer or, because I know Wichita was talking about they're short 8 or 10 medics on there.
Yep,
That's a lot of medics.
puts a lot of workload on the rest of them.
Yes.
Sometimes, you have that sign-on bonus, but you could go in and build in bonuses for people who have been there for a couple of years. You give them a bonus, so you could build a bonus in
Incentive.
all of them to kind of compensate for that.
Yep. Since nobody's here for public comment, I was gonna kind of bring something up that's been brought up to me. It seems like, well, Eric could probably answer this too. There's been some requests that we have more, department head meetings again.
Right.
And then that kind of brings up, other boards that we have. Like say the hospital board. I always thought, we appoint that board to take care of hospital business. But does that mean that one of us maybe shouldn't be attending, a meeting once in a while? Just to represent the commission?
See how things are going.
Yeah, just see how things are going, and maybe, community development board, we appoint them, topside manor board. I know that we can't all do it because that creates special meeting after special meeting. So to have one of us go, to some of these meetings once in a while. Another thing that's coming up is the Smoky. We disbanded that board. But now with this new upstart, I know Kenny Sanderson has already been in contact with the state. The CFAP agreement needs to be signed again. And he went ahead and filed for papers for that. He hasn't filled anything out because we haven't directed him to do that. But he said he's willing to do that. Another individual has had some interest in being on maybe a committee, not a board. I don't think we need to appoint another board. I think one of us could be maybe involved with that in the planning of what needs to be brought to the commission for decisions as far as the lake itself, because I know there's stuff that needs to be done right away. So that's another thought. I visited with Jenny Cure, and I said, why did we never meet as the County Board of Health? Okay, a good question. I don't know why we don't. Is that another thing that one of us could represent and bring information back to the board? This is just food for thought. Same with the department head meetings. We don't all need to meet with the department heads. But they need to understand what we want, what our vision is for the county.
Well,
in the next few years.
that's very good in the fact that I'm going to go back to what Eric had talked to me about was we need to talk to them and see what our vision is, but also get their input into it to see, okay, do you know what project he is working on?
Right.
Do we know what Jenny's working on? Do we know what Rod's working on? We need to know these things, have an understanding of what their plan is so we can help mold it with our continuing plans.
Right.
Because I had someone call the other day and they asked what is our 5-year plan and where can they find it? So,
Well, it's something we need to, I don't know if that divide and conquer thing makes sense, but we can only get so much done in a meeting.
right,
And we can't expect these guys to come in every meeting and brief us on everything. I mean, there's times when we need to maybe have some special meetings with them, but I don't think we need to do it all together. I mean, we don't need special meetings for the commission. That's just some stuff, a few things that I noticed we probably could do better. We should always have some homework,
yes. Yes. Speaking of homework, I did not get a return call. I got one call back from K-Works on insurance down at the Smoky, but they were still looking into stuff and have not called me back.
Okay.
So there was no preliminary pointing of a direction of which way on the fishing.
My wife was just reading an article at Lake Champlain, up in the Northeast. 3 fishermen fell in the ice and died. And that's ice fishing country.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's one of those deals. You can't let personal feelings get into, mitigating potential problems. So, I mean, I still feel like, I like to ice fish too. I grew up in North Dakota, for God's sake, But,
So you ice fish 6 months out of the year.
well, yeah, but you know what? There's just people falling through the ice up there too.
Yeah.
And they got good ice. But, I don't know, just a conversation, I guess. We'll see what the insurance company says. But
Yes. Did everyone get a chance to go over the minutes?
Yep.
Okay. If did, I entertain a motion to accept these.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion approved. The minutes. We have a resolution 23-5, which is Rural Opportunity Zone Student Loan Repayment Program. We are opting not to do the program as the county committee, but we are signing this to leave it open to employees or employers that wish to sponsor someone and work on that. And this allows them to use this same system. It's just the county's not involved in it. So I entertain a motion to sign this resolution.
Also moved.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. We sign. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Morning, Jim. We have a letter here to Sherman County no longer be a member of the organization for the Northwest Canyon Development. And we're just agreeing to form a letter and sign. Do we need a motion from this one, Ashley?
You already made a motion, did not.
Okay. We have a letter of commitment here. Okay. And we have tax roll corrections. This is an oil tax roll correction. The protest new drilling, 30% decline applied. This is oil again, 22 payment under protest. 22 payment under protest. Oil lease, 22 payment under protest. All these are oil leases so far. 22 payment under protest and 22 payment under protest. And the last one is the real estate. Ultimate valuation has been selected, resulting in reduction of the appraised value. Real estate again. These are all with Schooler Green. Again, all valuation reduction. And value reduction. Do I hear a motion that we?
Make a motion to accept the tax roll corrections.
Second, Steve.
Been moved and seconded. Do you want the numbers, it's 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passed. I will sign those in a little bit. You get open the mail. Oh, this is you. That the minutes from High Plains Health?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Okay.
It's government health administrators wanting us to reevaluate Medicare enrollment. You work with these people, actually? No.
Chief James? Are you with these two, or are you just sitting alongside?
I'll let them start the actions first.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning. So, fund reserve. Okay, so ambulances, as we all know, are not getting cheaper, getting more expensive. So, I was talking to Ashley about the 22 budget that we had and money that we have left over from the 22 budget. There is plenty of money to roll over into a ambulance reserve. Thinking about 150,000 to roll over for a new ambulance in the future. And when I say the future, I'm talking about maybe this fall, ordering a new ambulance. Ford, Chris, Chief Zimmerman over here, has been talking to Ford, and they were saying that F-550s probably won't be able to be ordered until this fall. And so them are probably looking at a year, be my guess, until the chassis is actually available. It's probably going to be no different than what the fire apparatus that the fire department just purchased it's going to take a year for that chassis to come in, and then another year for the company to actually build that truck. So I'm guessing it's probably not going to be a whole lot different when it comes to Amos's. As soon as you make the order, we probably won't see that Amos for probably over a year before it gets here. And this Amos would replace Med 5. So right now we have already $100,000 budgeted this year for Amos's, I should say. And if we roll over $150,000 from last year's budget into an Amos reserve fund, that means we'd have $250,000. On the healthcare side of the main budget, in the other line item, we have over $600,000 in that line item as well. So we do have plenty of money that we can pull from to purchase this Amos outright and not have to worry about how we're going to fund it.
Right.
So I just need to get approval from the commission to roll $150,000 from the 22 budget into this Amos reserve fund. Almost a capital outlay project.
Capital outlay.
Where at in the
Correct.
budget is that money now? Is it just in general,
Correct.
It's in general, and we want to put it on a line item
just for ambulance?
for ambulance.
Yes. Yep. So you're exactly right. It'd be a capital project, outlay project. Yep.
Yep.
So, so that's the first thing I was needing from you guys is approval to do that. Second is Chief Sherman, with him coming here now full time, moving down here. I'd like to get him an assistant chief's response vehicle that he will be able to take home with him, and then he can respond from his residence to scenes that request him to be there to either help with incident command or to help with triaging or to actually take care of patients. Chief Zimmerman has already done his due diligence and has already looked at vehicles. He's already gone and talked to Ford. The problem is with Ford is that there's not a lot of vehicles that would be available as in getting manufactured at this time. But I can let you go ahead and you can talk to him about what you found.
Quick question. What is the vehicle that we bought for the EMS director a few years ago? What's that being used for?
So that vehicle is being used for transportation of crews or the shift supervisor. So if a call goes out, typically we have 3 people on shift.
Yeah.
Unlike today, we're short-staffed today with only 2 people on shift today. But typically when an ambulance goes out and the first 2 go out in the ambulance, the 3rd person stays behind. If for whatever reason the shift supervisor needs to respond to assist because it's either a code red patient or it's a bariatric patient that needs help lifting, that person then will take that response vehicle and then they'll go to scene, leaving ambulances available for second out 911, and also allows them to leave that scene if a second out 911 does come into play, to respond back to the station and then take that second ambulance out. But then they also, like I said, they can then respond to the scene in that vehicle to assist the initial 911 crew with whatever it is that they need help with.
So that one gets quite a bit of use.
It has been. It also gets used quite a bit for students who are going and doing EMT classes in other communities, either up in St. Francis or here lately Oakley.
Okay.
Matt Minshaw was taking it quite a bit to Oakley. And then Mr. Saffer and Ms. Tinkler were taking it up to St. Francis quite a bit for their EMT class up there in Saney.
Okay.
So it does get used quite a bit for just staff in general for a multitude of things.
Okay.
So, yes.
So on the Ford side, I had been working with Dan Brenner because trying to keep it local business, going with like an Explorer, like what PD has, or even an Expedition. The problem was it's the same as the F550 chassis. They are not even considering making those until maybe 2024. So therefore, we're kind of out on that option. So this JR Audio down in Garden City, I told them because the sheriff's office has used them to outfit the sheriff's vehicles, lights and sirens. And I had been using him to get a quote on lights and sirens and whatnot. And so when I told him, I said, well, I can't, we might not have a vehicle. He goes, I have a couple spare vehicles on hand. So I have this. He has 3 spare Dodge Durangos, brand new, So it'd have Dodge warranty. And at the bottom, well, there at the red, you'll see the kind of the price, the $50,744. But in the option equipment, we don't need a Thunderstruck grill guard, and we don't need delivery of the vehicle. So we could save us about $1,650. So therefore, that would make your price $49,094. Now, that being said as well, getting this vehicle equipped with lights and sirens and brand new is still cheaper than just the vehicle from Dan Brenner, just a Ford Explorer. So, pretty good deal in my opinion. I know the worst thing about it is being a Dodge. We'll have to go to Colby if we have any warranty problems with it. But I think for what's out there right now, we're having problems trying to find vehicles.
Hurls couldn't even bid.
Well, they don't have the government rebate discounts.
Right.
We also have $70,000 for, you guys know that we have $70,000 for vehicle
Okay.
budgeted for 23. So that's where this money would come from, was that $70,000. So.
Well, in my opinion, if you feel like this fulfills your needs and it's in your budget, I think you have control of that budget. If that's what you want to do with it, then I'm fine with that.
Okay, yes. For sure. Especially with Chief Sherman being down here full-time here in the next week. He'll be able to then, again, like I said, respond from his residence to the scene, especially on the interstate. It's a good thing to have another chief on scene to assist with instant command, especially if there's a high casualty count. There he can help with triaging and guiding EMS crews where they need to go, where I can focus also on the fire department side of things. So it's nice to have both chiefs there to help mitigate things. So.
Well, I would make a motion to accept this bid.
Your second?
49,000 and change.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded, we accept from JR Auto the bid for 2023 all-wheel drive Durango. Any other discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passed. There you go, Mr.
Thank you.
James.
And I guess, like I said, the only thing else I need from you guys is just approval to roll $150,000 from the 22 budget into capital ambulance reserve fund.
Make a motion to roll over 150,000 from general into ambulance fund.
I'll second that. Thank you.
Been moved and seconded, we move from general fund to ambulance line item replacement fund, 150,000. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passed.
Perfect.
Go.
We were reading your fire board minutes, and there, the board was obviously talking about
Bonus, sign-on bonuses and such. Harvey had kind of come up with an idea. I didn't want to step on the fire board, but just something we could bring back to them.
Sure.
Maybe.
But we do have sign-on bonuses, in school as well, but one other thing you could do is put in bonuses for people who's been there a couple of years or 3 years, and that kind of compensates for those people feeling I'm cheated because I didn't get that sign-on bonus. So you can
Yep.
build that on in there as another option, as trying to, we know recruiting is pretty tough and to get people in there, to
Yes, sir.
keep the people you have as well.
Yes, sir.
And in conjunction with giving the guys a raise, for the calls.
Well, I know the fire board, they were talking about this budget come up here in June or May, when we start talking about budget. They're wanting to give the guys in the department, and gals, obviously, some type of raise. They've been at 26. Well, it's $26 for the first 3 hours and $10 an hour after that. So, which the first 3 hours, they get barely minimum wage. It's like $8 and some odd cents an hour. So, and I know they keep talking about raising the minimum wage level, and Ashley and I have talked about that too, is that whenever they do raise it, we're going to have to be kind of proactive and get on top of that and be ahead of it so that we're not paying our firemen below the minimum wage mark. I think the fire board, I think that we're going to talk about that possibly this month. I don't want to speak out of turn, but in regards to a dollar figure of what they thought, I know they wanted to pick my brain on what I was thinking to throw out there of what to give for a raise. I know when Chief Pedersen from Canarado, he's the one that brought up the sign-on bonuses, the issue that they did come up with, which is exactly what you just talked about, was that if the individuals who have been on the department for X amount of years, why aren't they seeing some type of whatever, that's human nature, obviously. That's going to be anywhere you kind of go, right? If you do sign-on bonuses, you're going to be like, well, I've been here for 15
Or a
plus
longevity
years.
bonus or something.
Right. Why aren't I getting compensated for just the time for me putting in here? So I think they were kind of hesitant on doing a sign-on bonus just because they felt it was going to be a can of worms. But definitely I will bring that back to them on the 3rd. So it'll be the 20th. They still have fire board meetings even on federal holidays. So I don't think they recognize federal holidays unless it's Christmas or Thanksgiving. So the 20th, we'll have a fire board meeting, and I'll definitely bring that up to them, let them know what you guys are suggesting, see if they want to go that route.
Well, we got to realize that we're in changing times from what started out as, volunteer services and what they did as compared to today, what is required of them.
Right.
Yeah.
How many guys are you short?
I'm still short, probably six to 8. So
How was the last time you were at that
Never.
number? Exactly.
never. We've always have had 30 plus people. We're now at 29. We've never been below 30. And I just don't have people coming through the door applying. I just don't.
Okay, now the next question is, how low can you go before you start?
Right now right now we are managing. We're keeping it good where we need it. My comfort number is 36. We technically can have 50 on our department if we wanted to. Obviously that's overkill. But 36 that was kind of the sweet area. We were getting a lot of the perfect numbers of people that come in on all calls. Now here lately, especially during the day, weekdays, it's kind of a crapshoot of what you're going to get. Sometimes we may get 4 people, sometimes we may get 8 people during the day because a lot of the individuals in the department, their jobs take them outside of town. Their employer doesn't allow them to leave because they're on their time. And so...
Now, is that just at this station, or is that counting the Canarado?
That's everywhere.
Okay.
It's just like not this last Saturday, but the structure fire that we had in Edson 2 Saturdays ago. Only one fireman from Brewster came over, and they have 15 people on their roster. And then we have one person available in Brewster to come over and bring their water tender. So again, it's just, and that's what you get with the volunteer department.
Yeah.
You don't know what you're going to have. So if you want to guarantee X amount of firemen to be there, you're going to have to start paying full-time wages. And we just can't afford that, nor do we have the call volume to justify that either. Again, that's just where we're at. I guarantee if you talk to any other municipality in our area or any rural fire department in the country, guaranteed they'll be in the exact same position. That it's just a crapshoot what you're going to get during the day. You have no idea. And a holiday is way is
a lot of
even
employers
worse.
won't let them leave.
Right. Right.
And they don't have to.
Right. No, they don't, unfortunately. But the question I always have is to those employers is, if that was your residence that was on fire, or if that was your family trapped inside that vehicle, and only 2 people showed up to take care of it, don't you think you'd feel a little more proactive and want to allow your employee to leave to assist?
Sure.
It's unfortunate that we live in a reactive society, not a proactive society, especially when it comes to the fire service. People just expect us to be there. But when you have a volunteer department and it's not a guarantee of how many people you're going to have, I would hope that employers in Sherman County and elsewhere would be more pro-apt to allow their employees to leave and to assist. So
Might have to change the methods used to, for community outreach to, do a little bit more PR.
Sure.
Visit with those businesses or whatever. I mean,
Right. And I've gone and visit, I'm not going to mention who employer that was, but I have gone and talked to an employer and I told them the exact same thing. I said, if your family was trapped in that house and NFPA advises that you have to have a minimum of 10 people on scene to effectively do an interior fire attack, safely do an interior fire attack, and you're a firefighter that's on your staff, you don't allow that individual to come off to leave to assist, and we only have 8 to 9 people show up to a call, that means technically we can't send anybody inside that structure to save your family. You're still not going to allow that person to leave, and the person said, nope, that guy's on my time, and the people that I serve, their time is just as valuable as anybody else's time, and I'm not going to allow them to leave. And I was kind of blown away by that, but I was just like, okay, I left
There's
it
some
alone.
things you can't fix.
No. It's just unfortunate. But again, this is my 16th year coming on as chief, and I've been saying this from day one almost. It's just, you just don't know what you're going to get. Either I may have over half the department showing up, or I may have a fraction of the department showing up. It hasn't changed. That's just the way it is. I've always told people that when I retire from this job, that'll be the one thing I will not miss is worrying about employees.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
anyways, but yes, going back to what you were saying, yes, I'll bring that back to the fire board on the 20th. Give them your suggestion, see what they have to say. So,
Back to the ice fishing thing. Steve has reached out to the insurance company to see, about liability as far as putting signage up saying that, do it at your own risk, and which we know that's always an option. But just to update these guys on your take from your side of it.
sure.
Okay, I just want them to hear from you.
Yeah, so
Up to me.
Lieutenant Breiniger and I, we've talked about this extensively. And when the Smoky was filled, the fire board was being very proactive, and they allowed us to buy ice rescue equipment. Just because we knew that there's now a new hazard and possible new hazard in Sherman County, so now we need to be proactive and be prepared, because guaranteed if somebody falls through the ice, the community's going to be looking at us to go perform that rescue. And if we don't have the tools and the equipment to do that, we just let our community down. So we do have those tools in our hand. We do practice, we're trained with those tools once a year. The downside of the location of the Smoky is that it's very far away. Just to drive down there in your POV, personal operated vehicle, it takes about 20 minutes to get down there. If an individual falls through the ice, granted, I know you guys did say that there's a cell phone booster down there. I was just down there Saturday, and I have a hard time getting out there with my own phone, and I'm on Verizon. Even with that cell phone booster, I had hardly any signal down there. So the likelihood of trying to get a good signal down there, in my opinion, is going to be kind of tough for someone to call out 911. Then after that call does go out, and Steve, I'm just preaching to the choir because you've been in emergency services more than anybody else. The time for the page to drop, then for the time for the fire guys to get down to the station to grab their gear, you're looking at probably 5 to 8 minutes, depending on where these guys are coming from. Then they have to grab their Gumby suits, which is a ice rescue suit. We call it a Gumby suit because it looks like your Gumby when you're wearing these things. And then they have to throw these suits on, and then they have to take their inflatable boat, which is not inflated because we don't have a trailer to keep it inflated. And then we have to obviously head down to the Smoky, inflate the boat, and that takes probably a good 5 minutes to inflate the boat with the tools that we have. And then to actually then get out onto the ice and try to get that person. Total time you're looking at is probably about 45 minutes of that person being in the ice to the time that we actually get to that person. And I'm not an ice expert. I know they say if the ice is white, it's not safe to go on to. Clear ice is the safe ice to go on to. Again, I'm not familiarized with that. Lieutenant Branniger, he lived in Minnesota for a lot of his life, so he knows about ice fishing and all that stuff. So he knows the safety of water and ice and so forth, so on. But in my opinion, I'd rather err on the safe, be on the safe side, and not allow people to go out onto the ice. Again, when I was down there on Saturday, granted it was a nice day, it was all white ice. So me personally, I wouldn't feel comfortable going out there just because, again, I'm not knowledgeable on thickness of ice, what is safe ice, what's not safe ice, and just some Joe Schmo going out there, drilling a hole into the ice and then sitting out there putting a bobber down in the water, in my opinion, is not worth risking a life, in my opinion. So that's just me speaking candidly. So, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I mean, I'd say the big thing is you're looking at 40 to 45 minutes before we're even operational, and then still to affect the rescue after that, depending on location, if they're under the ice. I mean, it's truly, we're probably looking at recoveries at that point and not rescues. So.
Well, when I talked to the insurance, I said, gave them the information, and I said, do we need to have signage that fish at your own, ice fish at your own risk, or is it, banned it completely? So I'm still waiting on a return call from that. But I just, don't want to.
Everything we do in life that we take risk at.
Oh, for sure.
And we can't protect everybody from that. So all we can do is give them the knowledge that they need to stay safe on that ice. The best that we can do. And even if we do that, there are times that there could be accidents, that something could happen. And that's just a risk that people take. It's a risk that you take, risks I take every single day. And most of those people who go down there, recreation-wise, I still think most of them understand that risk that they are taking, and they still choose to do that. My thought is that it is a recreation that's done not only here in Sherman County, but throughout the country. And if you think about how many people actually fall through the ice, yeah, you have those, but not everybody does that, and it's not that amount. In fact, people's gone down there ice skating and ice fishing for a long time, and have we ever had an accident down there? Not that I'm aware of. I mean, could, and I just not know about it. But I still think that in order for our community to provide an entertainment or a recreational opportunity for our community that they don't have very often. We're talking about maybe a month, maybe 2 months at the most, that they could probably do that. That, to me, if they're knowledgeable enough, and we educate them enough what could possibly happen and what they should do to try to stay safe, then they take that personal risk upon themselves.
Sure.
Now, I know that was inconvenience. I know when something happens go down there, and it's inconvenient to get down there, and time-wise, it does take time to get down in that area. But at the same time, those people who go on that ice and skating down there, they know that. They're aware of that, and so we can't put bubbles on everybody and keep everybody safe all the time.
No.
All we can do is just make them understand that there's a risk there.
Sure. And I'm not saying that. It's just if there's areas where people can prevent a catastrophic event from happening, I would hope that people would be proactive and try to prevent that from happening. My recommendation is not to allow people on the ice, but I'm not an elected official.
Yeah.
I am just the fire chief, EMS chief.
Sure.
So you guys are the ones that make the rules and regulations. So, but my professional opinion is to not allow anybody to go onto the ice.
Yeah. And I respect that.
Right. And I respect your decision too. So again, if somebody does, and even if you guys do put signs down there, I'm sure people will still go on the ice.
Absolutely.
But in my opinion, at least we tried to prevent an event from happening. If people choose to turn a blind eye to a sign, and it's just like speeding, the sign says 75, but people go 100 mile an hour. So, it's just no different than with that down there. Point is that if somebody falls in the ice, we'll do the best job that we can as a fire service and EMS service to rescue that person. But I just want to be public and let people know that I'm against it. So But if, again, you as a board decide to go ahead and approve it, that's your guys' prerogative, and you guys can do that. So, but we'll just go from there.
Yeah.
We'll do the best we can.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
We'll wait and see what the insurance people
Yes.
say, if they're, and I know Brett's, your take on it, we're gonna get sued no matter what. Pretty much, whether you have a sign or not. That's just the way it works. But I'm with you. If you have a chance to mitigate a problem, you should do that. Yeah, you brought up the fact that, you take risk every day when you get up in the morning and go outside. Well, that's a risk you can't mitigate.
Yeah.
This is something that we do have the power to do because we own the lake. So,
it'd be one thing if Lieutenant Breniger and I have this conversation. It'd be one thing if the body of water was either in town or a couple miles outside of town. But with it being so far down there, it just takes so long to get down there. I'm afraid it's going to be a recovery.
Sure.
So that's my. Right. Again, if the body of the water was a lot closer to town, I'd say sure. As long as the ice is safe, by all means, go out there and do what you need to do. But again, it's just a long ways down there.
yeah.
So,
Good.
but anyways, that's all I got.
All right.
Got anything else for me?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Sure. Guys, have a good day.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
Mrs. Cure isn't here, but Nate, if you want to come on up.
How are you guys today?
Good. Thank you.
So my name is Nate Brown with Eagle Med Air Med Care Network. We do the membership program for Eagle Med. And I'd like to first of all thank you guys for your support of covering your employees. I've been with the company since 2015, and I believe this plan has been in place since prior to that. And just here to kind of provide some updates, go through some questions with you on anything that you may have. First of all, I'm going to kind of go through, I brought in a brochure. So if you would like to open that brochure up to the back, you'll see a little map on the right-hand side. And that shows all of our locations that we have aircraft in. Obviously, you'll see the Goodland. We have a fixed wing here. It's still sometimes amazing when I do presentations to groups that I'll say, does anyone know the closest aircraft to where you're at? And I may have a group of people that still not maybe aware that we have an aircraft right here. You'll see a few additions since the last time. In 2019, we added 3 aircraft in northeast Kansas. Those are called Lifestar of Kansas. They were acquired by MedTrans, and that's part of our membership. That is Junction City, Lawrence, and Overland Park. It was a great addition to our membership and to our team because we have a lot of people that spend time in those areas with our membership covering the entire house, and we have kids or children that attend college in those areas or attend events in those areas regularly, and the membership helps cover that area. On August the 3rd, we added an aircraft in Great Bend. You can see that new dot right there. That is a great addition to our team again. That is Eagle Med 10, that's a rotor wing. I was recently doing a presentation in Guyman, Oklahoma, and I said, how many of you guys know where Great Bend, Kansas is? Very few did, and I said, this still impacts you in a really positive way because we're flying enough air transports out of that area that it deemed that we could really use an aircraft there. That means that Goodland's not flying to Great Bend. Liberal is not flying. They still are taking flights out of there, but it it has minimized it's allowed a lot of aircraft to maintain and work their more natural areas. So we have 320 locations across 38 states. Again, every aircraft addition is a huge positive impact to all the different areas. What membership does, excuse me, has not changed. First and foremost, one of the primary, everyone talks about the membership covering all out of pocket, no copay, no deductible. That is obviously one of the big benefits, but one of the other ones is that it helps support our mission of providing air ambulance transport in rural areas. And you guys are, I mean, we're all blessed to have a fixed wing here. We're blessed to have Hayes Med, or not Hayes Med, I apologize, Hayes Eagle Med 9. We have Liberal and Dodge City, like I mentioned, and Great Bend. Great Bend has flown up into this area when we have other aircraft on flights. So that is one thing that I always talk about, is how that is such a positive impact. It helps provide and drive our mission of rural areas and being able to transport patients to higher level care. Secondly, and like I mentioned, membership means that the patient will have no copay, no deductible, and no out-of-pocket. Sometimes there's things that fall out of the parameters that sometimes a commercial insurance or Medicare may not like to cover. Typically, we see that in closest facility or medical necessity. Closest facility meaning we fly someone, and maybe Medicare, for example, may find a closer hospital that could have handled that. Medical necessity simply means that it may end up in the view after the fact not being an emergent flight. And again, our membership covers all that. So, excuse me. Another thing really neat about our membership is that it covers the entire household, regardless of if everyone is in the same. It doesn't go by a dependent plus, or a primary plus dependents. It goes by whoever lives in the household. There's a lot of unique living arrangements nowadays where we have just different scenarios where you may have a grandparents living with or having their granddaughter or grandson and kids. I know on a personal note, my parents had my dad's mother with them for a while. If I moved back into my parents' house, for example, I would be on their membership. So membership covers the entire household. And we do not have a limit on flights. That's pretty important because we do have people that were kind of frequent flyers. You have a condition that created you a flight the first time. You go back into the hospital, in many cases, they're not going to hold you very long, and that's a good thing. So as I mentioned, we've had the census plan here for many years. Kind of going to give you a brief overview of what the census plan looks like. I use the analogy of a boardroom table. Let's just imagine this was a huge boardroom table with 70, you guys have 71 employees, roughly?
Yes.
Let's imagine we had a table with 71 employees. The neat part about the census plan is that the membership stays with the county. When I say that, let's imagine that in February, at the end of the month, we had 3 people that turned. Okay, in a sense that they left the boardroom table, right? So you have 3 vacant spots. You guys still own the membership slots for the next employees that are hired. Another really nice thing about that is that it is reevaluated annually, so there's no mid-year invoicing. We do have our other type of plan is called a group full, where we have each person fill out the membership form, write in everyone on their form. And then what those look like, though, unfortunately, for like a county is that, let's say those 3 people term in February, then they still have membership until the plan renews the following year. And then we're looking at getting a prorated amount for the new individuals that you guys rehire. So it's really the best plan going for a group like this because you retain the slots. Any growth is recalculated at the end of the year. And so how it looks on our end is I get the email from Ashley and Maria that we have this person has termed and this person has updated. I send that update into our processing department. The spreadsheet roster changes, but there, like I said, there's no, it's really a pretty efficient, way to cover everyone. I also have added this sheet in here. And this is something that we've kind of come up with recently. And this is something that can be distributed to your employees. It tells just a little bit about it. Even with medical emergency, there can be a pocket. However, an Eagle Medic membership ensures, it kind of goes through some FAQ. It also talks here about everyone under one roof, if you have kids in college. This is kind of a review for them. In fact, a lot of your employees may not know some of that information, so this is something that's very beneficial to that. That next sentence on there, if you have members that you'd like to add to your membership, household members, because what we have is the employee name, date of birth, information, but this still covers the entire household. You'll see there on below it says, please note, if someone other than the employee is flown, here's how you can do that. And plus I have people that call me and say, hey, we need to add, make sure this person's on there. But we do have the option. I did just start a census plan recently where we put, the clerk went in and added, like Steve, the other people in your house, and name and date of birth. So it kind of packages all that up. Prevents just an extra step if we fly someone that's not the actual employee. Another thing, we probably should reissue welcome packets to everyone, so they get the cards and stickers. Inside the packet is a shield sticker that you see on vehicles often. They do fade out fast, so I carry them around. Health fairs, I go through a big stack of them. Yeah, this thing faded out. There's also a little sticker that goes on your health insurance card. There's a credit card sized ID that I encourage people to put in there. You'll also see that I also encourage people to tell their local provider you have a membership. And then one of the more important things is the top sentence. It says, it acknowledges you that you've graciously offered this and covered your employees and their household for that. So one other thing, we do have a slight price increase that's set for the next year's enrollment. So this year enrollment, we're still at $65 for the employee and their family or their household. Next year it will be $75. It's just one of the
Airplane fuel isn't any cheaper?
Actually, I just had my program director told me that fuel was up. He gave me a percentage, and I don't want to quote him on it. It's up tremendously.
Yes.
And we are tied with that, with the operations side. And like I said, we look at membership. We're always looking at ways to expand in areas that would, just like the Great Bend one, and that's not my side of things. I do membership only, but they're always looking at that. So, do you guys have any questions or anything? We are coming up on the renewal, I believe, at the end of the month. So, and I just wanted to come in and provide you guys an update on the new map, our new aircraft, the potential, the price increase that will happen next year. It's the majority of it, so.
Okay.
You guys have any questions or anything?
I just need a review in my mind. Were we looking at a different company?
There was another offer, yes.
Another proposal.
Yes.
And what was, you remember what that was?
I don't. That was through it wasn't Blue Cross Blue Shield. It was
MSN
when we were talking
or something
about it.
like that. Yeah. And they offer some pretty packages, but it's a pretty package on the financial end of it too.
Yeah, let me take a moment to, if you're looking at any air ambulance membership program, I would concentrate on several things. One being, who is the aircraft? You guys know Jason Johnson, Alan David, Vicky, or Brenda, Michelle. We are Dennis. We are the people in your communities. We have the hangar. We have the aircraft. We provide education to your fire, EMS, hospital. That is a very important component of Eagle Med being right here. If you're looking at other membership programs, I would always look and say, where are your aircraft? I mean, what are you just jumping in here to, or are you providing, are you helping the communities in many ways? I would also look very closely at anyone's terms and conditions. And I would expect that those would be laid out, given to you like you were given. You would need to see any exclusions and provisions, anything that's not covered, anything that may have a perceived, may sound like this is great, but is there a waiting period attached to that? I would just look closely at all those types of things. Right. Does it cover the entire household? Does it cover, if I had a parent move into my house, is it going to cover my parent? If I have a kid that has moves in with their kids, does it cover all of them? These are things to look at. Are there any waiting periods, age limitations? I would have those all questions answered. Does it cover 100%? 100% of the time. Does it require pre-authorization? I would look at any of those conditions. We operate where it's either a scene flight or an inter-hospital transport, where the hospital calls directly. There's no middleman, so to speak. They call us, we make the transport. One of the most important things that I would look at is there a cap or limitation of what, if a flight takes place and there would be a denial of some sort, is there any cap on that? We will cover all of it. There's another question. If the patient's insurance is in or out of network with said flight company, does it still cover that? With our membership, we actually can cover someone that does not have health insurance. So may not even have that component, and we still cover 100%.
Do you fly anywhere?
What's that?
Do you fly anywhere?
Yeah, we'll fly wherever our transport comes.
Ready to go.
Yeah.
And another important thing that you mentioned right there is that this other company would essentially be the middleman.
Yeah.
Because they're going to have to deal with these guys.
Right.
So, I mean, that's a good point. And these guys are, I mean, I do know a lot of people that work for Eagle Med.
Yeah.
So,
So if you have any other questions as you think about it, feel free to call. But those are some things that I would look at if you're looking at does it cover it 100%? You don't want to have something in limbo.
Right.
When you fly on any of our aircraft, that patient has no out-of-pocket, no copay. So,
yep.
and it helps, like I said, our mission right here. So,
All right. Well,
thank you guys.
glad you
Thank
came in.
you.
Thank you.
Well, I'll speak personally for myself. They didn't serve peanuts on my flight, but I don't remember it, so, but my wife was very impressed with the crew that picked me up, and they said, it'll take X number of minutes to get from here to Denver. We'll get him to the hospital. You should hear from us within this time frame, and they were right on the money.
And the side part of what I do is I do the membership. Everyone asks, am I a flight medic? Or nope, I'm not a pilot. I don't fly. But I get to go to the health fairs, and I get to go do enrollments in different businesses and hospitals and things. And the neat part about, probably the neatest part about my position is that I get to talk to people that have similar stories and people that get very emotional. And, I hear it all the time. I just had someone last week say, there's no way that my husband would have made it in without getting an air transport. So please call if you have any questions. The business card is in the folder, so.
I think the one thing we ran into one time was we had an infant that got flown by a different company because of the requirements. It was a neonate, and they thought they were covered by that, and that's what.
Yeah. You might check, I can't remember the situation, but we do have, when you look at, one of the best ways to look at those different dots, or, on the map, is to go look. And we do have some affiliation with some in Colorado, so I almost think, if I remember right, I can't remember on that, but, if you look, you can go on your phone or you're on the internet and drag across, and you'll see the name of them, and we do have an affiliation with a network out there that does.
Neonates.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yes. Thanks, Nate. Okay, perfect. I didn't know, I just didn't want to interrupt anything, so.
I'm here all day. so-
Okay, perfect,
Well, Ms. Jaleesa.
perfect. I just was like, oh, that's executive session, I should probably go on.
How are you all this morning?
Good.
Good. I was just coming to give an update and then talk to you guys about the housing application that we're going to be submitting on Friday. So updates, kind of just want to give you what we're doing this year. So we had our board meeting on January 31st, and we kind of started mapping out what we're doing this year, kind of confirm some things. So we have all of our events in place. We'll be doing Mama's Day Out on May 6th, summer concert series this year. Again, we will be doing the Shindig at the Smoky. We're going to do it on June 24th in the evening. I've had a lot of requests from the communities just asking if we could maybe do something closer to the evening time to allow more people to be there. So we're going to give it a shot this year and see how that goes. We have fair, Flatlanders again, and then the holiday stuff. So all those things taking place again, and we're really excited about that. I know I've had a lot of community members asking how they can get involved or what's happening with that, so that is up on the website. As far as grants and funding and whatnot goes, we did receive the seed grant, so that was through the Rural Prosperity, and that was $49,125 that we received, and they were for specific projects. So they had a category for libraries, so actually we put a project in for the public library, so they're redoing their teen room, and it'll also be a conference room that the community can use. The Sherman County Early Childhood Program, they were going to get new fencing, sidewalks and lighting and stuff so that the kids can have an area there. And then community vibrancy, part of that funding is going towards sound system for the main street. So that was exciting to be able to get that, and they all fit within those categories, so it was specific for those. We did, on behalf of the city, put in an application for the base grant, round 2, for the industrial park. So we submitted that at the end of January as well. And so hopefully we can move forward with that. That would get us that infrastructure and help with that cost over there to start bringing things in. And then the other one that we're submitting at the end of this week is going to be the moderate income housing, which we had worked on before. I had a conversation with the state contacts, and they kind of broke down our application and said what was strong, what we needed a little bit of work, what we needed to be more clear on. And so that was really helpful. And the nice thing about it is this year they will be doing 3 rounds of funding for the MIH, and they're focusing on communities of 10,000 or less. So we're not having to compete with larger areas, and they know with housing being an issue in a lot of communities, they want to focus on that. So we'll be submitting that on Friday. Some of the other updates that we're doing this year, so my first year in the position was kind of learning and just seeing what we needed to work on and the things that were happening in the community. Second year was trying to get the community and kind of getting that housing stuff rolling and whatnot. So this year our focus is, as a board and as the SEC, is to focus on incentives for businesses, housing, new and existing businesses, and just different things that we can do that we can offer out to the community and those coming into it. So that's exciting because it means we're moving forward, and those things take time, but I think we're now at that point where we have that foundation of what we need to work on from a whole perspective of the community. So one of the things I would just ask is if we would like to have a representative from both the city and the county to be a part of that discussion with incentives, just so we're all on the same page and we're not having to say, oh, well, every situation, what would the city like to offer to this person? Or the county, it's kind of a blanket statement for any business coming in based on a tier. And then that representative can have those discussions with their groups, and then we'll have a joint meeting to kind of settle on what that looks like, so it's in the know what everything is. So it doesn't have to be an answer today, but if it's something that you're interested in when it comes to incentives for businesses and things like that, that's just something we want to focus on this year and would like to have launching, going into that to move forward with that.
Well, I think that was part of the plan when we restructured everything, was we wanted a one-stop shop. And that's what we've got to have.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and the nice thing about that too is everyone can communicate the same information, and it's not one person says, it's here's what we offer, and if it's a certain scenario and it goes above what kind of the criteria is, then you can visit about it and say, oh, okay, well, this is bigger than what we had anticipated. What are some things that we can work with that? And that's something I've talked about with several other communities bigger than us and around our same size, that they have a kind of a blanket of what everything is that's offered for incentives. But if it's a special case, then they have a meeting to kind of talk about what else they could offer to help with that. So I think that's just something we haven't had before, and I think it's something that's needed. So excited about that, and just to see and get ideas where we can go with those different things.
I mean, just to be clear, what the county has for incentives is the NRP.
Right.
I mean, that's basically it.
Yeah, and which is great,
Yep.
but it's one of those things a lot of people know about it or they don't know about it, and so if we can even communicate that with the other pieces on it, that would just help. And I know anyone who comes to our office that's doing anything residential or commercial, I always offer that out. So just want to make sure that we're all on the same page with that and whatnot. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any questions on the update part?
I don't believe so.
Okay. So the other piece of it is, do they have a copy of the letter? Okay, perfect. So this letter, I know I don't know, was it August or September last year, some point in that round? We had talked about the housing project that we were working on, and we had questions about the lot just north of the hospital, west of the pharmacy that's over there, and just kind of wanted to know what was going on with that property. I believe it was Commissioner Everett that said he would talk to the hospital board,
Right.
and they said that they didn't have any plans at the time. So what I'm asking for presented is a letter of commitment for that property for our housing project that we're submitting. Our plan with this project would be to have 2 houses built on that lot, and then there's a lot just south of the hospital on Sherman that's been deeded to the city to use for that project. So we would potentially, if we get the funding and the grant, would have 3 new homes being built in that area, kind of focusing on neighborhoods and using lots that we have that have utilities or access to utilities, kind of that low-hanging fruit, so it's not having to create a whole new development right away, but it's using what we have. So the great part about it too is I've talked with Black Hills and some of our other partners and stuff, and like Black Hills said, they can bring the meters and replace that line. That's a program they have here, so that's an in-kind asset. So some of those things that would be more costly, we kind of already have in our favor with our location and the partnership we have there. So it's not running anything that's out of the ordinary or extra expensive. It's really just getting those lots on there, so.
So is this kind of like, a lot of these seminars and stuff, they talk about land banks.
Essentially,
I
yeah.
mean, that's what it really kind of is.
Yeah, so I know in our housing committee, what we've worked on is pulling together a list of lots that we have in the community, and I know there's a lot of them, but the ones that get deeded to the city, using them for this, so we can start having that movement on that and kind of almost creating a structure where if we can update a neighborhood or have multiple lots, it kind of enhances that, but it's more than one house getting built at a time. I know eventually our hope is to get a list of all those lots and kind of have them set to a point where if people are interested, we can say, oh yeah, here's X lot, this is what you're able to do, you're working with the developer or contractor to get this built, and there's kind of rules and stipulations that go with it. But that's later down the line. So, but this is kind of our first go at it to kind of just get that moving, and that would be great to have at least 3 new homes in the community that were in that moderate range for people moving to the area, so.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I read this, pretty much what she says, there's 2 lots in the Rosewood addition. And, you know, just providing the opportunity to have this available so that if you go back to the development group and they say, well, what do you got? Well, you say, well, we have these lots committed. And then we know that, okay, this is the parameters of what they say you can build in that. So, and provide.
Is that contingency on the application being approved?
Yes, so our hope with this, the nice thing about the MIH is if we don't get funding this round, they review our application with us to go for the next round. They really want to try to get every community that does apply the opportunity for funding. And I want to say I want to say it's 20 million is what they have allocated. And so they're splitting that up into 3 rounds of funding. So that's kind of what that looks like from there, so.
Brett, have you read that?
Yes, sir.
And you're
Well, that's
saying,
a- that's
no
a-
way. Oh, okay.
I was just worried if was never approved, then what can we do with those lots?
Right.
You know, how long do we have to hold them?
Right.
If we're never approved, that's
Yeah.
what I'm concerned about.
I know we saw them as an opportunity because they've been empty for some time, and I know we can't use the other lots because that's where the helicopter is and what pad is, and so how do we use what we do have to kind of accent that property we have over close to the hospital and hopefully encourage that growth there, so.
I would make a motion to accept a letter of commitment, or to adopt a
Go ahead and
letter of
sign it.
commitment to Sherman County Community Development.
A second.
Been moved and second, we accept the letter of commitment. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is passed.
Thank you. And once we get that submitted and hear back, they always have timelines, but they always extend those timelines and they're going to let us know when it's awarded. So as soon as I get that information too, I will make sure to come and give an update.
Okay.
Probably Ashley will want a copy of that.
Okay, you want to get Ben's signature and then bring that?
Yeah, I can do that. Yep. All right. Perfect.
Good enough then. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have a great day, guys. Thank you so much.
Okay, go find something to do.
Yeah, I'll bring this up. Okay, thank you. Yep. Thank you.
Make a motion, no? No motions.
No motions.
We got
You got to get his spiel. before you
got
say
the guy
anything.
here.
Well, I guess we'll start out with the pressure washer at the landfill is pretty much shot. And they use that thing daily, you know, they've got to keep the floor clean, they've got to keep the baler clean and everything else. And
Is that a steam cleaner too?
yes, yep. And it's been there for 20 years and it's just shot. So I got bids for a new one. I mean, for that big a one, there ain't many people that make them. You can't just go buy any one. It's got to be at least 4 gallon a minute and 3,000, minimum 3,000 PSI.
Who's that one from?
One's from John Deere and one's from a place in Yuma, Colorado that sells all kinds of washers. And that one from John Deere here, that's the exact same one as we got out there.
Okay.
It's the same brand.
It's been a good one.
Yeah, it's been good. I mean, and same one we use at the shop there too, and we've had good luck with them.
Now, these have a electric or fuel?
They run electric and then natural gas powered for the
Okay.
steam.
Okay. Well, that's a pretty easy one to do. The price difference is
Yeah.
$1,000. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
those have what? Do they have a cat pump in them?
Have a what now?
Cat?
No, it's a whole different style of pump in them. I mean, and that's why they're those bigger ones are different than the regular.
Right. I have a pressure washer that I've had, and it has a cap brand name.
Yeah.
And the nice thing I like about it is if it breaks down, they'll ship you one, you ship them theirs, and they
Right.
trade it out.
Yeah, and that's what's nice about this, American Implement will come out and work on it if
Yeah.
it needs something,
Yeah.
or we can buy parts from them for it.
I'll make a motion to accept the bid from John Deere for $8,300 for the steam cleaner / pressure washer.
I'll second that one.
Been moved and seconded, we accept the bid from American Implement for the pressure washer. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion passed. I'm gonna try it out, I have a dirty car.
There you go. Okay, and then the next thing is the deal with B&H paving for chip sealing this year and crack sealing.
Now, which part do you gotta do?
Well, we'll do this out here by the airport going over the highway, and then Road 63 out by the Paxton addition, and then the little road going into the golf course, and then do half of Highway 24 going east.
Goodland East.
Yep,
Right.
yep.
What's that stuff the state puts down by the highway? It's kind of a white ashy looking.
Yeah,
What is this?
they haul that in from somewhere, yeah.
Just to keep water from getting under there.
Yeah, yeah, we need to start working on some of the shoulders of that one. We
Yep.
talked about that, getting that done this spring.
Okay.
So. And of course, there east of town, where there's them holes, before we do this, we're gonna have to cut those out and concrete them too.
Yeah.
And then,
It's only 9.6 miles? Or are we just going to,
we're just going to Ed's
okay.
for that. Or is that, are you looking at the chip seal, or are you looking at?
Chipping, it's just the chip seal.
Yeah.
Sherman County roads.
See, in the crack seal, they're gonna do what we overlaid a couple years ago
Right.
too, because it's starting to get cracks in it. So they're gonna have to get them filled. And of
Okay.
course, they'll crack seal all of them before they chip seal here.
Yeah.
Well, if we don't keep it up, or
Yep, that's just the thing. And I'll probably have to speak for him, we'll have to haul about 1,500 ton of rock in for the chip sealing.
there's rock, is there availability of
Yeah,
that
I
chipping
done
rock?
called the guy down at Syracuse, and he said they'll have it whenever you need it, so I'd like to get it hauled here shortly.
So they get a bunch of grain trucks to turn
No,
around?
We haul
or-
it ourselves.
Okay.
We'll just send the trucks down there and haul it ourselves.
Make a motion to accept the proposal for B&H paving.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded to do both the chip seal and the crack seal from B&H paving. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Pose same sign. Motion passed. Okay,
That's about all I got.
you can sign them and have them on your way.
Well, I think you need to sign them, don't you?
What's this?
Yeah, I think you need to.
How we doing on the road graders and stuff? No, now he's laughing.
Well, I did get a bid, for a motor grader, and of course, they went up some more.
Yeah.
That's the next thing we're gonna have to talk about, what we wanna do there.
What kind of a plan do we have? We don't really have a capital outlay plan just for a road grader, do we? Okay.
Yeah, we do, but we're kind of, as high as they're getting, we're kind of,
You're not getting enough money
No.
transferred?
no, they went up way past what we got in there, to tell you the truth. Because once again, they want high dollar for their new one, and they don't want to give us any more for a used one than what we're getting. Been getting for years, and you'd think they're both.
You need copies of this.
I would think so, too.
But I did talk to that Gavel Roads, and he said that they can get more money out of them if we put them through there,
And not trade them.
right? Yep. But we're to the point now, if we buy a new motor grader, there's nothing left in the budget for anything else. It takes it all.
Right. I know we've asked this question before, but what, I mean, if you start talking about refurbishing a unit, where does that get you? I mean,
You still got an old machine that's worth nothing. I mean,
You got an old machine with a new transmission.
right, basically, they can send them in and they'll totally go through them and everything, and then you got a 20-year machine that's, value of it's not worth anything.
well, that's where you make the commitment, you just know you're not gonna get rid of it.
Right,
You're just gonna keep running it until the wheels fall off,
yeah.
you know?
To my thinking, you're better off getting a new one where you got warranty on it and everything else than trying to refurbish them. I mean, sure, they give you some warranty, but, I mean, it's an old machine.
But you've got kind of a rotation plan in.
Right, well, we've been getting one a year, and that's about what it takes, because we're putting 1,000 to 1,200 hours on them a year, so, we've always got 10,000 hours or better on them when we get rid of them. And you're pushing times where things are gonna start going wrong there.
Right.
And a transmission goes out, that's pretty expensive, or an engine, what have you.
So we need to start thinking about how can you start putting some more money in.
Right, yeah, and once you put a new transmission or engine in it, then, I mean, you're gonna have to run it.
Yep, right.
And then you're updating those machines that when we get one, about everything's going with mechanical or front wheel assist on them now.
Yeah, we only got 2 that doesn't have a front wheel assist on it. Yep.
I think we need to really look at, boosting the line item budgets for the price of maintainers, because we know they're not going to go down.
No.
So, and how are we doing on employees?
We're full.
Good.
First time in I don't know how long.
Yeah, I was going to
Full.
say. Very
But
good.
there again, I got one that's gonna retire here shortly too. So, and who knows how many others.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been several years since you've come in and
It's a
said that.
long time, yeah. But yep, right now we're full. It's a good deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Could you talk him to be volunteer fireman too?
I doubt if they would. I mean, I've got some there that's been on there before, and I
Yeah.
mean, too bad they wouldn't,
Sounds like Brian's about 7 short.
Yeah.
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 And can't get.
But
to the break.
it's just like your group, some of those guys, if they're a maintain operator or a truck driver and
Yeah.
they're on a sand pit east of Edson,
Not gonna
Yep.
make the call anyway.
Yeah. It's true.
Yep, that's right.
I think that's why those departments are so, they try to get a little bit of overkill because they
Right.
know they're not gonna get the numbers show up.
Yep, that's right. Yep.
And some of the employers won't let them
Yeah.
respond, so. Yeah, I
Yep.
get it. All
Yes,
right.
maybe you guys ought to get on, huh?
Yeah, we've got a
I
lot
did
of
by
help.
25, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. All righty.
Okay.
Thank you, Rod.
Yep,
Thanks,
thank
Ron.
you guys.
You bet.
Are you prepared for Wednesday morning?
As good as we can be.
We're supposed to have, someone said 6 inches of snow again?
Yeah, 3 to 6 I seen this morning. Yeah, we'll see. I mean,
Hey, your roads need moisture anyway, so.
well, they do. Some of them do, and some of them got good moisture in them, especially over west.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, see, you western.
Well, tell your crew we appreciate them. Get out there.
Thanks.
So,
Yep. Yep. And just so you know, that bridge over at Canarado, we're already getting complaints about it again for overweight,
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I'm sure you'll get some calls.
All right.
Looking
Okay.
forward to it.
Yeah. All righty, thanks.
Thank you. Before we go with Mr. McNamara, we'll take a quick recess, if that's all right with you, sir.
Yep. That bridge over at Canarado, does it just need replaced? Or,
No.
no?
No.
The back of the black and the scale on the right side.
Oh.
Yeah, it's been inspected and it's fine.
Just say there's some, there's some grants for replacing bridges and stuff, and I'm sure we're doing that. I just didn't know.
Yeah. No, that one's good.
There must be more of a history behind it that I don't know about.
Yeah. There is. There always is. Guess we could start signing checks.
Am I legal to sign now?
Yes.
Well, good, didn't take a few more.
Come in order, please.
Keep them in order.
Just keep them in order, huh?
You're the top, I'm the middle.
I did. I've done some things with it. I just need to do better do all over the next year or so. Just get safe.
How long do you need, sir?
Let's go 15.
Make a motion to go into executive session for 15 minutes and convene here.
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded that we go into executive session for 15 minutes with, do you want everyone here?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, with all those that are here. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passed. Back on.
I got mine on.
Come back to regular session. After our discussion, we'd like to have a motion for the opioid, or not the opioid, is this,
Yeah, for the opioid litigation for the expanded companies. We won't need a new resolution. Our previous resolution for the previous settlement still applies, so we
Okay.
just need the authority for these documents to be completed and sent to the settlement administrator.
So move.
A second.
been moved and seconded. We continue with the resolution for the opioid litigation. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passed.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Do I hear a motion for the, pay the bills?
I'll make the motion.
I will second it.
Been moved and seconded, we pay bills, and note that this is some of the first quarter's distributions are in these. So, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passed. Let's see, we had on our agenda, Mrs. Q, is she not coming?
You guys want?
Okay.
I'll make a motion to rescind the previous motion to work with MASA on air flight service insurance.
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded to rescind the motion with the MASA for flight insurance. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passed.
I would make a motion to adopt the agreement with Eagle Med on air flight services.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. We adopt the agreement with the Air Med Care, I guess is what it should be, for flight services for county employees. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passed. Is there anything else? Then I entertain a motion for adjournment.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
So, second.
Seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passed.